You died 3 times yesterday. You were reborn twice. You spent the morning as a god, the afternoon as a ghost, and you're ending the day as an animal. And you didn't notice any of it. Buddhism doesn't say you're going to 31 different worlds after you die. Buddhism says you're living in 31 different worlds right now, and most people never notice they're changing realms 50 times a day. Forget the afterlife. This is about today. By the end of this video, you'll see which world you woke up in this morning, and which world you'll fall asleep in tonight. I'm Matt, and this is Buddha's Wisdom. Ancient Buddhist texts describe 31 distinct realms of existence, 4 lower realms of suffering, 1 human realm, 6 sensual heaven realms, 16 form realms, 4 formless realms. Quick visual guide. Buddhism organizes these into 3 domains. The Kamaloka, the sensual sphere, includes the 4 lower realms, humans, and 6 pleasure heavens, all driven by desire. The Rupaloka, the form sphere, includes those 16 jhana realms accessed through meditation, refined but still with subtle form. And the Arupaloka, the formless sphere, those final 4 states beyond even shape or image. 3 domains, 31 rooms, all still inside the prison. Quick technical note. Traditionally, the sense desire worlds include 11 planes total, 4 lower, then human, then 6 heavens. I'm grouping them by how they feel, rather than strict categories. Makes it easier to recognize them in your own life. Text nerd note. Some traditions place Asuras differently. Psychologically, this is the war zone. Traditional Buddhism teaches these are literal worlds you're reborn into based on your karma across lifetimes. Gods in heavenly palaces, beings in hell realms, hungry ghosts wandering the earth, actual places, shaped by your actions over countless lives. Ancient texts drew these realms as literal cosmic geography. Mountains of gold, oceans of fire, palaces floating in space, beautiful art. But here's what matters. They were mapping consciousness, not continents. Because the ancient teachers understood something deeper. The same forces that create rebirth after death, they're shaping your experience right now. Same mechanics, different timescale. In traditional Buddhism, your mental habits at death determine your next birth realm. Same habits, bigger consequence. But those habits are already shaping your experience right now, moment by moment. Death tends to lock it in. If you've seen our dependent origination episode, you already know the engine behind this map. If not, this will make sense anyway. 2,500 years before psychology existed, Buddhism created a map of what your mind does when you're not watching. Not what happens after you die, but what's happening in your head right this second. If you want the cheat code, these realms run on 3 fuels: craving, aversion, and confusion. Buddhism calls them the 3 poisons, sometimes called the 3 fires. Craving pulls you into hungry ghost, aversion drops you into hell, confusion puts you to sleep in the animal realm. Watch which one lights up, and you'll know which realm you just entered. So before I start, make a guess, don't overthink it. Which realm do you live in most? Hungry ghost, Asura, animal, or hell? Just pick one, then see if I'm right. Why this matters? This isn't lore. This is you. This map tells you why you sabotage your own life, why you keep choosing the same pain, why the same patterns keep repeating no matter how hard you try to change. And more important, how to catch it before it owns you. Let me show you what hell actually looks like. And no, I don't mean fire and demons. In the traditional map, these can be literal rebirth destinations. In this video, I'm using them as a mirror, because the same karma that builds worlds also builds moods. It's 3 a.m. You can't sleep. Your mind is running a horror movie on repeat. That conversation you ruined, the opportunity you missed, the person you hurt. You're not remembering it. You're living in it. Your chest is tight. You're sweating. The past is eating you alive. Or maybe this. You said something stupid in a meeting 3 weeks ago. Every time you remember it, your whole body cringes. You can feel the embarrassment like it's happening now. You do anything to erase that memory, but you can't. So, you burn. Notice the body. Tight chest, hot face, jaw clamped. That's the gate. That's how hell opens. Hell isn't fire and demons. Hell is when the past won't let you go. When your own memory becomes torture. Hell is happening. And it feels like it's you. The Dhammapada teaches this. Mind leads. Everything follows. Speak or act from pain, and pain shadows you everywhere. That isn't philosophy. That's cause and effect. You're at dinner. Your friend is talking, but you're not listening. You're waiting for your turn to talk. Waiting for them to pause so you can jump in with your story. They finish speaking. And you don't even acknowledge what they said. You consume the silence and fill it with you. Another mask. You're at a concert, but you're not watching the concert. You're filming it. You're not there. You're capturing proof you were there. Later, you'll never watch that video. But experiencing it wasn't enough. You needed to own it, possess it. The moment had to be consumed. The digital version. You post something, you keep checking. How many likes? Who commented? You refresh. Refresh. Each notification gives you a tiny hit of something, but it's never enough. 10 likes feels empty. 100 likes feels empty. 1,000 likes feels empty for exactly 3 minutes. Craving doesn't shout, it whispers, one more and then I'll feel okay. In the traditional texts, hungry ghosts have giant bellies and tiny throats. They're starving, but can never swallow enough to feel full. Mine used to be hungry ghost, not for things, for being seen. I could feel the emptiness in my thumb every time I opened an app. We actually did a whole video on this, link in description, because this realm deserves its own deep dive. Someone tells you their problem. Your brain doesn't think, how can I help? Your brain thinks, I've had it worse. They got dumped, you got divorced, they're stressed, you're burned out. You're not competing for solutions. You're competing for suffering. Like pain is a sport and you need to win gold. Same realm, new costume. Someone compliments your friend, and something cold drops in your chest. Not happiness, not pride for them. Something bitter. You don't say it out loud, but in your head, you're already finding the flaw. You can't let them win because if they win, you lose. The argument ended 3 hours ago. You won. But you're still in your head, replaying it. Finding better comebacks you should have said. Building a case for why you were right. Preparing for round 2. You can't let it go because being right is more important than being at peace. If you got defensive during that one, congratulations. That's the realm showing itself. Asura doesn't want joy. Asura wants ranking. Asuras in the ancient texts are almost gods. Almost. They're powerful, successful, capable, but consumed by jealousy. They can't enjoy what they have because someone else has more. You're at war with everyone, and the battlefield is your own mind. Your partner is talking to you. You're nodding. You're making sounds. Yeah. Totally. But if someone asked you to repeat what they said, you couldn't. You weren't listening. You weren't thinking about something else. You weren't there. A human-shaped absence having a conversation with a person. Later that day, you're in the shower. Did you already wash your hair? You think so? Maybe? You literally can't remember if you did it 30 seconds ago. Your body is on autopilot, performing a routine it's done 10,000 times. Meanwhile, your consciousness checked out. You arrive home. You've driven 40 minutes through traffic, made 15 turns, stopped at 8 red lights. You remember none of it. Your hands knew what to do. Your eyes saw the road. But you weren't driving. Something else was. Some autopilot program that keeps you alive while you're gone. Animal realm doesn't feel like pain. It feels like absence. Animals aren't stupid. They're simply not aware they're aware. They eat, sleep, survive, repeat. No questions, no seeking. Pure instinct. The old texts say most of us spend way more of our day asleep than we want to admit. Alive but not awake. You're reading a book, and suddenly you stop. Not because you're bored, not because you're distracted, but because something the author said made you think. And you put the book down and stare at the wall for 5 minutes, turning an idea over in your mind like a Rubik's Cube. That's the human realm. You're awake. You're about to send an angry text. Your thumb is hovering over send, and something makes you stop. Not fear, not politeness, but awareness. You see yourself about to do something. You watch your anger like you're outside yourself, and you don't send it. Human realm isn't nice. Human realm is choice. It's the only place where you can see the impulse and refuse to obey it. Or right now, you're 20 minutes into a YouTube video about Buddhist cosmology. You could have clicked away, but you're still here. You're curious. You're seeking. You want to understand. This ability to question is rare. In the Chigala Sutta, the Buddha used this exact analogy. Imagine a blind turtle surfacing once every 100 years in a vast ocean. The chance of that turtle putting its head through a single floating hoop? That's how rare the human birth is. That's how rare this moment of awareness is. Hell beings can't think. They're drowning in pain. Heaven beings don't want to. They're drunk on pleasure. Animals don't know how to think. Ghosts can't stop craving. Asuras are too busy competing. Only humans have the perfect balance. Enough suffering to motivate. Enough peace to reflect. Enough curiosity to wake up. You're holding the only key. And yes, even the nice realms are still a room in the same prison. You worked 3 years for this promotion. You finally got it. For about 72 hours, it felt amazing. Then it became normal. The new baseline. Your brain adjusted. The thing you spent 3 years chasing is now Tuesday. And you're already looking at the next promotion. You're 23. You had the best summer of your life. Perfect friends, perfect beach house, perfect romance. It's September now. And something in you knows. It's over. Not the summer, but that perfect moment. You peaked and you know it. And then you chase vacations like medicine, because normal life starts tasting gray. The most dangerous version. You have enough money, good health, stable relationship, nice apartment. Nothing's wrong. But you also don't feel anything. You're not suffering. But you're not really alive either. You're comfortable. Comfortable enough that you never have to change. Comfortable enough that you stop growing. Comfortable enough to die. The gods in Buddhist heaven realms live for millions of years in perfect bliss. They have everything they want, so they never question anything. They never seek enlightenment. Why would they? Everything's perfect. Then one day, their karma runs out. They fall. And they're not prepared. Heaven is a trap disguised as paradise, because comfort becomes a drug, and the dose keeps rising. That's the cycle most of us rotate through. hell, ghost, animal, Asura, human, heaven. Buddhism calls it Samsara in miniature, round and round. For most people, the day is just 6 realms on shuffle. Hell, hungry ghost, Asura, animal, human, heaven, repeat. But Buddhist texts describe 20 more realms. States of consciousness so refined, most humans don't stumble into them by accident. And here's the scary part. Even your best moments can become another addiction. You're talking to someone. Really talking. Not performing, not waiting for your turn, actually connecting. And suddenly 3 hours have passed like 3 minutes. You forgot you had a body. You forgot where you were. There was no you and them. Simply the conversation itself, happening. Or this. You're painting. Your hand moves before your mind decides. The brush finds colors you didn't consciously choose. Time dissolves. Your back aches, but you don't notice. You're not making art. Art is happening through you. Ideas flow from somewhere else. Like the painting already existed, and you're just uncovering it. Here's the quieter version. You're listening to music, not as background, really listening. And the boundary between you and the music starts to blur. You're not hearing the notes. You are the notes. Your heartbeat is the bass drum. Your breathing is the rhythm. The music isn't in your ears. It's everywhere. You're everywhere. Buddhism mapped deep absorption states, the jhanas, moving from refined form to the formless attainments. Athletes call it the zone. Psychologists call it flow. Different names, same experience. Advanced meditators train for years to enter these states at will. They can stay there for hours. Beautiful, vast, but if you cling, you build a higher cage. Beyond even these, there are 4 more. The formless realms, infinite space, infinite consciousness, infinite nothingness, neither perception nor non-perception. You went under for surgery. 1 second you're counting backwards from 10. Next second you're waking up. But where were you for those 3 hours? Not asleep. No dreams. Your brain was working. Your story wasn't. That gap matters because it shows the story can shut off. Or this. You're floating in body temperature salt water. Total darkness. Total silence. Your brain invents sounds that aren't there. Phantom music. Voices. After 20 minutes, something shifts. Your arm? Is that your arm? Or the water? The sensation has no edge. Up and down. Stop making sense. You becomes a question without an answer. This isn't the formless realms. It's a cheap modern echo of the same direction. Fewer objects, more space. The Buddha mastered all 4 formless realms. He could dissolve into pure consciousness at will. Sounds like enlightenment, right? Wrong. He said, "This isn't it. Even this is still a cage. There's something beyond even formlessness itself." These states feel like heaven. That's the danger. The upper realms aren't goals. They're warnings. Which brings us to the uncomfortable question, why do you keep ending up in the same realms? You don't visit all 31 realms equally. You have favorites, places your mind keeps returning to. Some people live in Hungry Ghost 80% of the time, always craving, always consuming, always empty. Some people camp out in Asura. Everything's a competition. Everyone's a threat. Some people are permanent residents of the animal realm, going through the motions. You don't fall into these realms by accident. You train yourself into them. Every time you indulge craving, the Hungry Ghost realm gets easier to enter. The pathways get smoother. The gravity gets stronger. Every time you replay resentment, hell strengthens its pull. Every time you compete instead of connect, Asura becomes your default. This is what karma actually means, not punishment, not cosmic justice. Karma is practice. In Buddhist terms, this is becoming, the mind building a world, then moving into it. You're practicing realms. The one you practice most, that's the one you'll be reborn into. Not someday. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up. The Abhidhamma, one of Buddhism's most detailed mind maps, teaches that karma isn't about being good or bad. Karma is about momentum, habit, pattern. You're not choosing which realm to enter consciously. You're being pulled by invisible forces you've been strengthening for years. Every time you check your phone when you're bored, animal realm training. Every time you compare your success to someone else's, Asura realm training. Every time you replay a mistake at 3 a.m., hell realm training. You're not stuck in these realms, you're practicing them, and what you practice becomes you. Pause this video. Look around the room you're in. Are you seeing the room, or are you thinking about seeing the room? Are you present, or are you already planning what you'll do after this video? Are you here, or are you a ghost haunting your own life? Right now, in this moment, what are you feeling? Craving to skip ahead to the conclusion? That's hungry ghost. Mentally competing with these ideas? Asura. Mind drifting away? Animal. Actually curious? Human. Remember the 3 poisons? Craving, aversion, confusion. When you track your day, you're tracking which poison is burning. When a realm is active, it feels total. It feels like this is who I am. The anger is you. The craving is you. The numbness is you. But the realm is happening. It isn't you. There's awareness watching the realm. And the moment you see it, the spell breaks. Because the practice is simple. Notice the feeling as a feeling. This is why the word for mindfulness also carries the sense of remembering, because you forget, and the realm becomes you. The Buddha's whole game was seeing clearly, because what you see clearly stops controlling you. Track yourself for 1 day. Write it in your notes app. 6 lines. Put a number next to each tonight. You'll learn more from that than from 10 self-help books. How many minutes in hell? Regret, shame, anger. How many in hungry ghost? Craving, consuming. How many in Asura? Competing, comparing. How many in animal? Autopilot, numb. How many in human? Aware, seeking. How many in heaven? Satisfied, comfortable. Add it up. Where do you actually live? The 31 realms aren't places you're trying to get to. They're prisons you're trying to escape from. All 31 of them, even the heaven realms, even the formless realms, as long as you're cycling through them unconsciously, you're trapped. A lot of people die having lived mostly on autopilot. But if you can see which realm you're in, if you can notice that you dropped into hungry ghost, if you can catch yourself starting to spiral into hell, that awareness, that's the exit door opening. Noticing is the door. But what do you do after you notice? Hell realm, name it out loud. I'm in hell realm. Breaks the spell. And don't beat yourself up for being there. That's just more hell. Name it. Then soften. Hungry ghost? Close the app. Put down the phone. Feel the craving without feeding it. Asura? Genuinely compliment the person you're competing with. Watch what happens. This doesn't require monasteries or decades of meditation. It requires honesty. When you're craving, oh, hungry ghost realm. When you're competing, oh, Asura realm. When you're numb, oh, animal realm. The moment you notice, you're back in the human realm. And the human realm is the only one with an exit. The 31 worlds of Buddhism aren't out there. They're in here. You've been to at least 5 of them today. If this video made you see something you couldn't unsee, subscribe. We're making Buddhist philosophy that actually matters. Soon, why even heaven is a trap. We're going deeper into the upper realms and why pleasure can be more dangerous than pain. When you comment your realm, don't explain it. Name it. Hungry ghost. Asura. Animal. Then, if you're brave, one sentence, what triggers it? We're building something here. You died 3 times yesterday, but you also woke up, and that's what matters. See you in the next one.